Today is May 27, 2024. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life. This is Pro-Life Week. Well, today is Memorial Day. I think a lot of Americans confuse Memorial Day with Veterans Day. Veterans Day, November, honors our military personnel from all the wars, from the Revolution to Afghanistan. But Memorial Day honors the men and women who died serving our country, died defending our freedoms. So it's not the same thing. The Memorial Day is a much more of a solemn occasion, a solemn holiday, because we're remembering those who gave their lives for our freedoms. Veterans Day is just honoring people like my mom and dad who served in World War II. My dad was in the Army, my mom was in the Navy. That's Veterans Day for them. But Memorial Day is different. Okay. Got a few positive articles, news stories today, most of them coming from lifenews.com, the pro-life website. And I'll be reading excerpts from some of their articles. An infamous late-term abortion clinic in Wichita, Kansas, has halted abortions last week after a series of scandalous events. The high-volume abortion business is no stranger to sordid, illegal activity and the gruesome murder of late-term babies. Inside sources have reported that the co-executive directors and the medical director were all fired in April. Well, that's good news. The bad news is, though, the medical director was reportedly replaced with an unqualified candidate, an emergency medical doctor of osteopathy who founded a wellness clinic specializing in erectile dysfunction treatment, weight loss, and services such as Botox injections and facial fillers. There's a real expert. As a result, 10 of the clinic's total 16 abortionists have resigned. Now, it doesn't imply that they resigned because of this unqualified candidate, but 10 of the 16 did resign. Before the clinic's abrupt temporary closure last week, it saw a whopping 650 to 750 patients per month. Now, that is a lot of abortions performed. According to Operation Rescue's most recent report, the facility charges $750 for surgical and pill or chemical abortions. And the article went on further to say that the clinic last year took in about $9 million in profit. So with the number of abortionists going from 16 down to 10, they have lost at least $1 million a year in profit. And that is good news. So it does sound like maybe women are choosing life. Maybe women are canceling their procedures because there are fewer doctors. There could be a lot of reasons why there may be fewer abortions and more babies saved in Wichita, Kansas. Okay. Second item. Governor Jeff Landry of Louisiana just signed the Abortion by Fraud Criminalization Act after it received final passage through the state legislature. This legislation is important because it will stop predators from forcing women to take the abortion pill for children they don't want. The bill states that it seeks to, quote, create the crime of coerced criminal abortion by means of fraud. Continuing here, coerced criminal abortion by means of fraud is committed when a person knowingly and intentionally engages in the use or attempted use of an abortion-inducing drug on a pregnant woman without her knowledge or consent to cause an abortion, unquote. The new law would classify the dangerous abortion-inducing drugs mifepristone and misoprostol as Schedule 4 controlled substances. It would cement Louisiana's status as the first nation in the country to classify abortion pills as Schedule IV drugs. Under the measure, quote, a person in Louisiana caught with mifepristone or misoprostol without a prescription could face up to 10 years in prison, unquote. The communications director of Louisiana Right to Life said, quote, we applaud Governor Landry for signing the Abortion by Fraud Criminalization Act to stop abortion-inducing drugs from getting into the hands of predators and minors. We know that the abortion pill crisis is rampant in Louisiana. We believe the bill will deter bad actors from obtaining these medications. And I've talked before that the Supreme Court had heard oral argument maybe 2 months ago about these abortion pills and the FDA's status. And we'll get a response, we'll get an opinion probably in June, late June or in July. So we'll see how this conservative court decides on the status of these abortion pills. Okay, next item, Mark Houck. Talked to you before about him. Mark Houck, the Philadelphia pro-life advocate who was arrested in 2020, tried in court for violating the FACE Act. He was acquitted by a jury in 1 hour. Well, no, he was acquitted because the charges were fraudulent. They were bogus charges. Well, he is suing the Biden Department of Justice for $4.3 million for how the government politicized his arrest and prosecution, for violating his civil rights, how the FBI raided his home, terrorized his wife and young children at gunpoint, used excessive force in his arrest, for the faulty investigation, and for a, quote, malicious and retaliatory prosecution, unquote. The suit was filed in federal court by the 40 Days for Life Institute of Law and Justice. Now, I was unaware that 40 Days for Life had some kind of a legal arm to it. But they are representing Mark Houck in court against the Biden Department of Justice. And, you know, we have seen recently, in the last 2 weeks, the Biden Justice Department is throwing the book. They are targeting and hunting down pro-life advocates, charging them with FACE Act violations. So this Houck lawsuit is sorely needed to put a stop to what Biden is doing to pro-life activists. Okay, last item. We all know, and I've talked about this, and the national media has been talking about this a lot, that the Democrats have decided that abortion is their winning issue in 2024. You know, Joe Biden has been a disaster on every single issue, from the Afghanistan withdrawal to gas prices, to food prices, the economy, to inflation rate, to mortgage rates, to the southern border, of fentanyl. I mean, transgender kids in sports, on and on and on. He has failed the American public. And his polls have borne that out. He is not popular. But the Democrats are convinced that as long as they talk about abortion and the Dobbs decision, and now Donald Trump is trying to take away women's right to choose and their reproductive rights and their bodily autonomy, that Biden can be reelected as long as they focus on abortion. Well, everybody's favorite vice president, Kamala Harris, has been crisscrossing the nation. Biden can't really campaign very effectively because he's too old and decrepit. But Kamala Harris is out there across the country, and she's talking to women's groups, feminist groups, talking about abortion. That is a key component of her speeches, abortion rights, and how the Democratic Party, Joe Biden, is there to protect women's reproductive rights. And we will see how that all plays out. Right now in the swing states, Donald Trump is leading. I think in the 7 or 6 swing states, he's leading at all but one. And if Joe Biden loses in the swing states, he will lose the presidency, and Donald Trump will get it back again. Now remember, just a little trivia note here, Grover Cleveland was elected president back in the 1880s, was defeated, I believe, by Benjamin Harrison, and then 4 years later, he was reelected again. So Grover Cleveland is the only president to win non-consecutive terms as president. And Donald Trump may become the second president to achieve that distinction. So, what are we, 5-6 months away from the election? It's coming soon. And we got some debates coming at the end of June. I don't know how Joe Biden is going to handle that because he can barely speak. And sometimes Donald Trump speaks too much. So it could be a bombastic and a combustive debate in June. But Donald Trump and Joe Biden are flawed candidates. I think most polling firms would admit that. But they are the candidates that we have to deal with. And Joe Biden is just totally unacceptable when it comes to the issue of abortion. With that, I'll let you go. I'll see you next time.